For more on Rousseff's fall and Temer's rise, let's turn to Paolo Sotero. He's the director of the Brazil Institute at the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. Paolo, welcome.
Thank you, Asieh.
So first, let me get your reaction to the first vote. You and I have talked about this many times before, and this certainly does not come as a surprise to you.
Doesn't come as a surprise, but the vote was very strong. It was 76% of the 81 senators vote to remove President Dilma from office. This is more than her party was expecting, so it's a very strong decision that it's time for President Rousseff to go, but they, as Paulo Cabral explained, they split the vote in terms of her political rights going forward. This decision about her political rights will be appealed by the opposition, as will President Dilma Rousseff. She announced she will appeal the decision to remove her from office. But I think this is done. President Temer is now about to take off for China, and the crisis that he will see, he awaits him when he returns, is enormous. Although there are
Paolo, let me interrupt you. Before we get to Michel Temer, a lot more I want to ask you about Dilma Rousseff. Let's talk about the second vote that Paolo Cabral mentioned in his piece, and you mentioned again. Does this mean that Dilma Rousseff technically can make a political comeback in 8 years?
No, she can make a political comeback tomorrow. She has the full political rights in. The Constitution says that an impeached president loses political rights for 8 years. They had a different interpretation. This will be subject of a lot of controversy in Brazil. As I mentioned, appeals from the opposition that are not happy with that. Dilma Rousseff is a full citizen of Brazil. She can run for whatever she wants. She can serve in public office if she is invited by someone. Whether that will be welcomed by the people or whether that will be welcomed even by her party is another question, because she is a very unpopular politician.
Okay, let's talk about what she and her lawyers are saying. Rousseff and her lawyers are saying, we're going to go to the Supreme Court. We're going to appeal this. Does she have any chance here?
No, because this process that we saw for the last 5 months was decided, the ritual was decided, debated in December of 2015 by the Supreme Court, and they decided the ritual. The ritual was followed, and part of this ritual and what's written in the Constitution is that the impeachment process, like in the United States, in the Senate, is presided by the Chief Justice of Brazil, the President of the Supreme Court. Therefore, it's very difficult to see what would be the allegation. The Supreme Court justices really telegraphed this already. They are not going to deal with the merit. Only if there is something that was technically wrong, was unconstitutional in the procedure. So it's unlikely that the Supreme Court will entertain and will respond to this appeal.
Okay, let me very quickly, we're running out of time. I have to ask you a question about Michel Temer. His current cabinet, no women, all white males. Is this a man who can unite Brazil?
Well, he has to. He has no alternative. There will be changes in his cabinet in some key positions when he returns from the G20. First and second and third priority is to reestablish confidence and make this economy in Brazil grow again. There are indications that the recession is starting to abate, that Brazil has hit bottom, but it has to be confirmed, and he has to convince Congress to adopt certain austerity measures in terms of public expenditures and open Brazil up for investments by American, European, Chinese, Japanese, other investors, and by Brazilian investors. Brazil is one of the most closed economies in the world, and it's up to him to now provide the opportunity for people to invest in Brazil, because that's key to the recovery.
Paolo Sotero, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.